And welcome back to Zone 4, everybody. I am Brant Fowler.
I am John Wilson.
And I am Mike Spider Slayer.
And hopefully at some point, Chris Ventura will join us. We've been waiting on for a bit. Don't know what's going on, but hopefully if you're out there, Chris, get your butt on the podcast, man. What's going on?
I probably something heavy.
Yeah. This is episode 306. We're going to be talking about Daredevil, of course. And full spoilers, guys, if you've not watched it yet and you don't want to be spoiled, we are going to go full on because we gotta talk about this show. And all three of us have seen the whole thing, so I know Chris has seen one episode, but he doesn't care about spoilers. So
how could you not have watched the whole thing by now?
I know, right?
It's Chris, and it's Chris with TV. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work for him.
Yeah, he's weird.
he's anti-TV, anti-movie.
Yeah, it's funny. You gotta the Daredevil episode he did watch, though he loved, so he does want to watch it.
Yeah.
So I mean that's something. But we're also gonna be talking about Convergence, weeks 1 and 2, and maybe a little bit of week 3, whatever we've read. I know none of us have read that much of week 3 yet. But we'll be talking about that, Star Wars trailer, anything else that comes up. So, yeah. But before we get into all that, I do want to mention we are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network. You can find the audio version of this show on comicspodcast.com each and every episode that we do. And the audio version of this will be up later tonight for everybody that usually listens to it via iTunes or whatever. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah.
All right. All the technical stuff, all that kind of stuff out of the way. How you guys been doing, Mike? What's been going on, man?
Nothing much. Just reading comic books, watching Daredevil, and I don't know, just doing the same old comic book reviews, stuff like that. I've been very busy, so happy to make it on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to have you. Obviously, we were going to do it last week, and schedules conflicted. We couldn't do it, so Chris and I, we did something else, but hopefully you guys check that out. But we definitely wanted to wait for this conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course now Chris is not here. So
yeah,
exactly.
But that's okay. He hasn't seen Daredevil anyway, so it doesn't matter.
That's the way it goes, I guess.
Yeah. All right, John. What about you, man? What's up?
Oh, actually, I'll talk about it more in the end part. But
yeah.
I just talked to a former student today, and I'm illustrating her children's book now. But I'll talk about that more later. Other than that, just the regular wackiness ensues. Derby City Comic Con is about a month or so away, so all that craziness is happening, and even with all that going on, I just sort of took a step away from the computer the other day and just sat around and read comics, which was really nice.
Yeah.
And then, the next day I got into a flame war with a bunch of people on Twitter, so bonus!
There you go.
How many comics did you read? How many comics did you read, John?
Gosh, I don't even know. I had a whole big pile of stuff that was sitting over here, and now the pile is smaller. But
it's smaller.
I don't know, several hours worth, however many that is. I think it made it all the way through the run. I think it made it all the way through the run of Young Justice. So.
Oh wow!
I had the whole run of Young Justice that I picked up real cheap somewhere. So I sat down and read all of that.
That's funny, Chris and I.
Stuff.
Chris and I were just talking. He was looking on eBay trying to get the whole run of that just the other day.
Yeah, I don't even remember where I got it, but I got it cheap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a whole bunch of back issues at my store too, like dollar books. That's what they're selling them for at my store.
Yeah, I think he found on eBay. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, really? No, I was going to say, don't you wish every comic was $1?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, I'm old enough to remember when comic books were $1 and cheaper.
I think we all are. Well, $1.25, I think is what.
Like I still remember a quarter, man. So.
Jeez, I remember when I first started like really collecting comic books. That's when they were $1, is when that's when I first started like buying Amazing Spider-Man off the rack monthly, and it was during the Sinister Six time, like issue 330 something, when Eric Larson started doing his run, and I remember what's it called, just buying it off the rack, and it was like now on sale twice a month, but still only $1, and I was like, $1. I was just like, God, and now I'm like, they don't even go into like, you know, like it was like $2.99. They don't even go to like $3.25 or $3.50. It just jumps to $1, and I'm just like, oh my God. You know, I remember they used to raise it by quarters or whatever it was, and now they just don't even do that. Yeah.
No, now it goes up at least $1 automatically. Yeah.
Yeah, you said it was $1, and then it went up to $1.25, and so on, and now it's like, okay, we're $3.99, special book $4.99, you know, 80 page $7.99.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, $10, $10 books.
Oh, for the Deadpool one.
Deadpool, yeah. Like you would never see that in the past, you know, and it's just like, God, man. And then think about it, like back in the day, and I know, of course, values of money has changed over the years, but when you go back in the day, if you could go back in time and buy like all those Silver Age books and sit there and it costs like 25 cents, you know, that'd be so funny. Yeah. Hey, Chris.
Why buy trades anymore?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Chris says made it.
I made it. Sorry with the situation, but I'm here.
We're reminiscing about dollar comics.
Yeah.
Dollar comics. When I started, it was 75 cents.
Yeah, you could find a lot of them for something. Like I was saying, I paid $1, but I mean, you could still find 75-cent comics on the rack, for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm not going to talk about what Jay made me do recently.
Now you got.
I mentioned it. John, go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
No, I was telling Crystal. Now you got me curious. What did Jay tell you?
I was curious about. Remember what we were talking about on Frontline Live this past Tuesday about me wanting the Superboy full run?
Oh, you bought it, didn't you?
I found it on eBay. Yeah.
What'd you pay for the whole run?
Well, I think it was only $1 an issue. So it was about my brother got it for me for my birthday.
You told $90 for 101 issues, something like that. So it's less than $1 per issue.
Yeah, that's right, because there was 101 issues, because Zero was part of it.
Yeah.
Someone was selling the whole run?
0 through 100, yeah.
Wow.
But 1 million wasn't with it either. I have to find 1 million somewhere.
That's cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
We were talking about Young Justice because John was saying he just read the whole run, and I was telling him that you were trying to look for that too.
Brant.
Did you find it?
Yeah, I got it.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it. I got it, and I found it with the miniseries too.
Okay.
How many issues are in that?
55 plus a 10-issue miniseries plus 2 secret files and one. I forgot there was a one-shot for something. I got the whole run for. I think it was $100 for the whole thing.
It was Our World at War. I think was the one-shot.
No, yeah,
maybe that was an annual.
Secret Files. Yeah, the Secret Files was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't help it. Convergence made me want to go back and relive DC in its better days.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's cool. You know,
absolutely.
At least you have those stories to read, and that's what a lot of people got to realize. Like, if you don't like what's going on in the current comics today, just go and buy the stuff in the past. There's plenty of reading material. You know, I mean, just because it's in the past doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. You know, so.
And eBay is really, I gotta say, if you find a really good seller, full runs aren't as expensive as I thought. Like, I found Booster Gold, and they only want $75 for that, and it's the 2000 and something run, the one that started right after 52.
The Dan Jurgens one?
Yeah. Well, it started with Jeff Johns, then it went to Dan Jurgens. Dan Jurgens did the 80s run.
Okay.
That's cool.
The Jeff Johns run might be worth it.
Yeah, I saw
care about the Dan Jurgens stuff. Nothing against Dan Jurgens, but
I like
that
some
early
of it.
Booster Gold stuff was not so hot.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I,
Some people were saying the opposite. They were actually saying that the new stuff wasn't good because, and I agree with you, John, because I know how Booster Gold was in the '80s, how Jurgens wrote him, and I'm a Jurgens fan too. But I like the newer volume right after 52 because the previous volume with Jurgens, he was just looking to make money. He was one of those heroes that wanted to be a hero for the glory and for the money. In the after 52 run, it was more of kind of like redeeming himself and actually being a hero, which a lot of people hated because it was changing him to just like every other hero. But I liked it for what it was worth. It really looked like it was fun. And I started reading it, unfortunately, towards the end of its run.
I thought Jurgens did a later run too.
He did. He was.
He did,
It
yeah.
was Jeff Johns. It went to somebody else for a few issues, and then Dan Jurgens took over right before Blackest Night. Kept going through Blackest Night, and then I think there was like one or two more issues, and then it went right into setting up for Flashpoint, which that was the only bad note with the Booster Gold series.
Okay.
It led
Yeah,
into Flashpoint.
Gotcha. I was reading some of it when he took it back.
Mhm.
I enjoyed some of that.
So yeah. So wouldn't it be cool to go back in time, get your money, buy a #1 issue of
Action
Spider-Man, Superman, or Action Comics?
Yeah, no doubt.
Amazing Fantasy number 15.
You know,
Oh
Pete
my
from
God.
Basement has 4 Amazing Fantasy 15s, all signed by Stan Lee, and I think he got one signed by Steve Ditko also. CGC and
I
everything.
will not condone. I will not condone robbing this store. Oh, shoot. I would love to have that issue though. I've got
hey,
reprints.
Hey, remember we talked about this on Frontline too, about what would you do with
the superpowers.
superpowers. I told you I would go in the comic book store and I'd take it. Still holds up to today. They don't call me the Splatter Slayer for nothing.
That's true.
The one with
so-
Ditko, definitely, because that's
Yeah.
incredibly rare because he never signs anything or does anything like that. But yeah, the Stanley one maybe, but Stan will sign a napkin if you stick it in front of him. So
It's just be like, Dan Lee, sign this, okay?
Stan would sign your hand if you held it out long enough. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's probably
You know.
he's probably dying. Can you imagine how many things that man has signed?
oh yeah.
He's probably
I'm
got
sure he
arthritis
hasn't
just from
read
signing
half
stuff.
of it. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good thing no one slips, like a summons or a sign away Marvel thing under there, because he probably wouldn't.
Are you? I can see it now. Are you Stan Lee? Sign this. Thank you. You've been served.
You know,
Yeah,
in Convergence, they actually just killed off Stan Lee's JLA people. I think it was in issue 2. They killed off Stan Lee's What If Stan Lee wrote for DC Comics.
Oh yeah.
That was messed up.
Well, his versions of Justice League were definitely different.
Yeah.
It was
They were very
good.
Marvelized.
It was good for
No,
the
no,
most part.
It wasn't bad. I'm just saying they were very Marvel-esque. They were not DC characters. They were Marvel spins on those characters.
Mhm.
Hey, did you hear that? Did you hear that Marvel and Disney were getting sued from Iron Man?
Yeah, I saw that.
That design. Did you see that? Yeah. Marvel and Disney are
That's
getting
crazy.
sued by these artists that claim that they copied the Tony Stark's armor design, that they copied these artists' design.
Which one?
Yeah, good luck.
The one from I guess it's from the movie, the design, the armor from the movie, from the first Avengers movie or whatnot. So because they said in the past that Iron Man's armor in the past was always quite different, like from the comics from the 90s or whatever, where it looked like he was wearing tights and what's it called, and the armor in his head and whatever it is, and then it was like, then he wore a different type of, like, where he wore like the liquid metal armor or whatever it was, and then all of a sudden it became big and bulky, and they said that the design was taken from them. That's what they're saying. That's where they got the idea from to make the armor just like that. And it's just like,
I've got the image.
yeah, show them the image, Brant.
Why do I feel like it's not? Whoa.
Now, here's my thing. This is obviously a newer.
That's a newer
book,
drawing.
Yeah, newer drawing. Wouldn't you guys agree that any kind of armor like that is derivative of Iron Man as opposed to the opposite way around?
Can I actually say that there's nothing similar with these? I mean, the only thing is the blue light, which there's only one on Iron Man, and there's like 1,200 on this guy.
Iron Man has had the arc reactor forever.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can't even copy that, you know?
No, it doesn't look the same at all. If you showed me this comic book, I'd swear that was a different armor. They have no right to sue.
Yeah.
It looks different completely.
Yeah.
You know, not just that, but Iron Man's been around since like 1963.
Right.
When did these guys made this character in the 90s, wasn't it? So they're claiming that they came out with that armor, like that design, that armor design, where in '93 or something, I think it was, wasn't it?
It wasn't even that. It's 2001.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it was a copyright 2001 for their comic series Radix. Yeah. And Iron Man, like you guys said, 1963 is when Iron Man came out.
Right.
So.
I mean, honestly, colored that black and it looks like Nolan Batman armor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just like, and then it was like they decided to do something right before the first Avengers movie came out or whatever it was. Yeah. It's just like, yeah, I'm sure that they looked at your design from your comic, yeah,
yeah.
And they said, oh, dude, that's awesome. Let's take that idea. That's the greatest idea ever. Let's copy it. Come on. Yeah. Like, it's Marvel and Disney. They don't need to copy your idea.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
And there's so many superhero costumes out there that are so similar and look alike. It's like, why are you going to copy it? Like, we've seen people dress in different types of armor all the time.
Yeah.
Like, dude, they've never even heard of you, let alone copied your armor. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
that's the last thing they want to hear.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think any kind of armor like that is going to be more derivative of Iron Man as opposed to the other way around. Anytime I see any kind of armor like that, I think Iron Man automatically.
Right.
Yeah.
You've got three various kinds of armor. You've got medieval, you've got like Iron Man type, or, you know, Japanese mech armor. That's about it.
Right.
You know, there's anything's going to follow one of those three things. So.
What's that?
It's storming.
Apparently somebody's having a
window. Yeah. If I disappear, you know
for
why.
a shark, man.
Oh, man.
Are you having a Sharknado?
Yeah, it's thunder.
Wow.
It sounded like we're in some kind of tunnel or cave or something.
No, it's kind of freaky. It just all of a sudden started.
I thought it was wind blowing on a mic at first.
No, it's blowing on my mic, but it's from outside.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's thunder.
We should move on.
Yes, we should.
Have like a metal rod or something, stick it out the window, see what happens.
Oh yeah. I'll do that.
I would shut your blinds to be all logical, to be honest, right now.
You're
I
gonna
got blinds shut in the curtain. Yeah.
You're gonna become the Flash.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, I'll take that. Then I can go in this comic shop and steal everything.
Yeah.
Go get some Windex and some mouthwash and some bleach and lay it next to your desk. that way, you know.
I'll do that.
Yeah, you know, the chemicals. You got to have chemicals.
Well, that's true.
Pour on you to be the Flash. I mean, you can't just get hit by lightning. That would make you Ben Franklin, not the Flash.
Yeah, and at least you have a great story to tell the people at the hospital with the
yeah.
and the mouthwash all over your body.
It's like, sir,
luck.
why do you have mouthwash, bleach, and Windex all over you? I was trying to become a superhero.
Yeah. My luck, instead of getting superpowers, I just start a chemical fire and I burn all my skin off.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, then you'll be the
Oh,
next
dude.
Human Torch.
Yeah,
There you
burn all your hair off. You'll be Lex Luthor.
There you go. All right. So Daredevil.
right.
Speaking of daring and maybe a little.
It's a good head of hair.
Yeah, he does have a good head of hair. I know, Chris, we were talking about it earlier. You haven't seen but one episode of the show, but hopefully you don't
I
mind
don't
spoilers
mind
too much.
spoilers because so many people have discussed it on the internet and on TV that I already know. I already know the premise of it, so it's okay.
Let's say, dude, it's been 2 weeks. The world has seen this thing
Yes, of
already.
course. So there you go. Unlike me, I'm all over the place except on Netflix,
Yeah.
binging it like I want to.
Yeah, honestly, I heard or read somewhere that there's like a thing. It's 2 weeks for TV, or in this case, Netflix, and a month for movies.
Mhm.
After that point, you're stuck. You're going to get spoiled.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Which is okay because I still like to see the actual thing on the screen still. So no matter what people tell
Oh,
me,
yeah.
it'll be like
Yeah.
great, but I want to
yeah,
see
yeah.
it.
I'm the same way. I don't care.
Yeah. I do. I'm just weird that way. I like to be surprised and
Then
stuff.
don't
but,
watch any Avengers trailer and do not watch the Terminator trailer.
Yeah,
Well,
see,
I already saw that. I saw the Terminator
Yeah.
trailer.
So you've seen the
was
movie.
like,
Exactly.
movie trailers. That's. I mean, they're going to give away half the movie. I've just accepted that, but
No, in the case of Terminator,
as much as
they
I
gave away
can, I
the
try to
movie.
avoid stuff. Oh, did they? I haven't seen
They
that.
gave away the big shock of the movie. I mean,
Yes,
you
they
know.
did.
I hate it when they did. Anyway,
Thor is pissed at you.
I'm telling you. All right, so I think it's safe to say we all love Daredevil. I mean, it was fantastic. I know, John, you and I were talking, and you were just totally taken with it. And Mike, as hard as it was to fit it in for you, I know you were like, oh, yeah. You were like, I got to get these last few episodes in that last day, and this is so good, man. I was, I knew it was going to be good. Just from the stuff we had seen, but I wasn't expecting how good it was, and I was just, as we kept watching it, it was just so amazing how it is. Like I think you said on Comic Frontline Live, Mike, that it was the best Marvel TV show, period. Today.
Yeah, it has to be.
No? Yeah.
I think so, easily.
Yeah.
I definitely think it was.
I hope it makes it to actual TV at some point, but I doubt it as it's a Netflix.
It won't,
No.
It'll make it to DVD.
That
Yeah,
I will
They'll
buy.
do DVDs. Yeah. So, John, what was your favorite part about it?
Oh, wow.
If you had to narrow down to one or
Wow,
two.
yeah, I know, there was a lot. I mean, it was characterization. It had to be characterization. Everybody was spot on. I mean, I fell in love with Foggy Nelson in the first 5 minutes of that.
Yeah.
I mean, not even Matt, not even Karen. And I love Deborah Ann Wall from True Blood.
Mm-hmm.
I was always a big fan of her, but the guy playing Foggy Nelson was just so great and so kind of dead on, and even though he's different from the Foggy in the comics, he was just so, he just so embodied that part and was he stole the show really. In this early part of the series, he kind of stole the whole thing for me. I loved Matt, and I loved, the stuff he did as Daredevil, and I like Charlie Cox, I think he's magnificent as Daredevil, but the guy playing Foggy just completely sucked me into that show, and he was really kind of the touch point in the early part of the show for me before it really got rolling. And then, having Rosario Dawson come in as Claire Temple, who, for people who don't know, is the night nurse from Marvel. having her come in and then seeing that relationship build and then kind of fall away and then come back again was really, really cool. And, you know, at first I wasn't, I mean, Vincent D'Onofrio, cool, you know, but he didn't really seem like the Kingpin to me that much until that one episode where he was doing it was that kind of day in his life episode where he was kind of getting dressed and he was making the eggs and you know doing all the stuff like that, and I saw that, and it wasn't even when he, you know, like slammed the guy's head in the door, but it was that episode where it was just kind of the day in his life, and then you kind of see at the end where Vanessa kind of takes over all that thing from him. It's like, no, you're not going to wear your dad's cufflinks. You're going to wear these cufflinks and all that. Yeah. And then we touched into his backstory and saw that stuff, and I was like, okay, I get it now. He embodies Kingpin to me finally. You know, because you saw that part, you know, because, I mean, you know, he was tough and all that, and then the fact that he was tentative with his underlings. Or not even his underlings. I guess they would be his equals in this.
Yeah, it's kind of like his peers, Yeah,
it's kind of like his peers, but all his peers are kind of falling away, and he's kind of rising above them now. It's like, oh, that's the Kingpin, you know. He's not quite the Kingpin yet, but he's kind of growing into that as the series went on. And then the end, it was like, oh, he's finally the Kingpin.
That's what I loved about his character's progression was we basically saw the birth of the Kingpin in the series.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was like you said, it was that rise to power. He was keeping everything close to the best, and you know, kind of keeping all that bottled in. I love the fact that he was staring at the painting or the wall or whatever to kind of focus and center himself.
Right.
And the in joke where he was talking to Vanessa and she was telling him about this uppity guy that was wearing a white suit and an ascot, and he was like, "That's just too much." I love that.
That was cool. And you know, a lot of those little kind of Easter eggs for fans, like when he went to Melvin, when Daredevil went to Melvin, you know, and after their fight, and he went back to get his suit. If you paid real close attention, you would notice that there was a drawing there where he was starting to make the armor for his character, whose name just jumped out of my head. But he has a character that throws... that guy in the Marvel Comics is a villain that throws saw blades.
Oh, okay. I know who you're talking about.
I can't remember his name, but his first name's Melvin. I can't remember his last name, but... Yeah, he's a Daredevil villain that throws saw blades. I want to say the Executioner, but that's not right. Gladiator. That's his name. Yeah, which is a dumb name for a guy that throws saw blades. But anyway, but yeah, so there's that, and you know the reference to the Avengers, of course, and they reference the incident, which is, you know, the big fight for the Avengers and all that stuff, and all those little small Easter eggs that we got out of it.
Yeah.
And then you know, the shocks. I mean, I wasn't expecting Ben Urich to die.
Oh, I know.
That killed me. I mean, I sort of expected Wesley to die, but when Ben died, I was like, oh, wait, what? He's got to go through the rest of the story. What the hell?
That's what I was
back somehow.
I don't think that.
No, he's dead.
Oh, it's like one of those dead things.
Yeah, it was very definitive
dead.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
You know, like, I mean, Kingpin was just sitting there. You're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh no.
Yeah, it's like, why is he in his apartment?
When he said, "I didn't come to threaten you, I can kill you."
It's like, oh man,
it was over. I thought for sure, especially with the Jessica Jones series, that he had to stay around. He was this thread through them. But nope.
I mean, he's a touchstone in the Daredevil series. I mean, you know, he's part of the mythos, and they just
Right.
cut him right out of it.
Yeah.
For me, the Foggy Nelson, only in the first episode, I was kind of like, am I gonna like Foggy, or is he gonna be annoying for me?
Yeah.
That's how I felt. That, like, that was
He
my
wanted to make money and stuff instead of really helping people. Like,
right. I was
Matt-
like, yeah, exactly, Chris. It was just like, I don't know, like, is he gonna be too much? Is he gonna always be in Matt's ear? And then he became like that cool person that you expected him to be, you know?
Yeah.
And he was funny and he was witty, and the character for me, like we were already talking about in the show, was obviously the Kingpin. Like, I loved his character. I just loved how they kind of humanized him. You know what I'm saying? And the story is about, you know, the origin of Daredevil, basically, but then it's also the origin of his greatest enemy. So, and you get to see those characters rise, and I liked what's it called? I love that last episode. Just my favorite scene in that show is when he escapes from the van, and he's just walking down the hallway. I mean the freeway. He's walking down the freeway, and it's just like, and they slow down his motion, and it's just like you feel his power. You know, that's where you felt that is truly the Kingpin right there. You know, and it was just like, I mean, for him they lower a ladder for him just to get back into another truck. I was just like, dude, I mean, that's like royalty right there. You know, it was such a good scene, and then at the end, the battle between those two was really good. And then what got me about the Kingpin too was I liked his tangents, because whenever he would like lose his cool or snap, it was like he would act like a little boy, you know, because it goes back to his childhood. And it's just like when he was, he's like, you embarrassed me in front of her, and stuff like that. And, you know, that's when he slams the car door in that guy's, you know, head or whatever it was. And, you know, and just all the things that he did to the different people. Like, same with Ulrich. He's like, you know, you threatened my mother, and he would just go crazy. And it's just, he was my favorite character by far. But not saying anything less about any of the other characters. They're all really well done, and I love the, you know, I just love all the interactions between the characters, and I like the tone, I like the gritty, the darkness, and the fighting in that show was amazing. There's a really good fighting, especially the one where he's fighting those Russians in the hall. That was my favorite fight scene in the whole show.
The single camera shot. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah, mini refrigerator comes out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. But it's a really well done show. So, and I mean, it got already announced for season 2.
Oh yeah.
Right.
hooray!
Yeah. I love how because it was early on and he was still, you know, trying to figure out himself and everything, and he was still teaching himself martial arts and all this stuff, and, you know, going, that he was getting beat up a lot.
Oh yeah, he got his ass kicked a lot.
Yeah, I love that, because I think it would have taken away from me if he just went out there and was just this, you know, totally, you know, superior.
Even in the first episode. In the first episode, he got his butt handed to him a few times. It wasn't just like, hey, I'm Daredevil, bam, 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 and you're down. Especially that last fight in the rain. I didn't expect that. I honestly didn't, but I liked it, because I was expecting him to just wipe the floor with the guy, and when he didn't, it was like, this is more believable.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait till you see the ninja fight, Chris.
I'll just say this, though, because I did watch the first episode. It's very hard to hook me on a series that makes me want to see it to the finish with the first episode. Even Smallville, which was an excellent series, the first episode didn't do it for me. It took a couple more episodes before I really was hooked on Smallville. With Daredevil, it got me immediately. The first episode was like, wow, this is like they're producing a movie and spreading it out and shooting it for so long that it's spread out into a whole season.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's what I felt
honestly, I think that's the way
it is. It's a glorified movie, just a long movie that they have to consider a series instead of a movie.
Yeah. I love the Netflix format. I think it's perfect for something like this, and it's kind of, not to get on a tangent, but it's kind of reinventing the way that we watch stuff, and I love the more condensed nature of it, because it forces you to it forces them to give you more story as opposed to like a 24 episode season where everything has to be dragged out, and
Right.
I wonder if Netflix will ever replace cable, because I remember, back in the day it was the regular TV, and then cable came out, and it was like, hey, you can have TV plus more. Now we have cable, we have DirecTV, satellite, regular TV. Well, now you need a box for regular TV. And now here's Netflix. You can have it on your computer. You can have it on your TV. If you have a specific box, you can have it on your game systems. You can have it on your mobile devices if you want. You can have it anywhere. You just have to pay a fee to have Netflix, unlike cable. It would be interesting if cable and Netflix actually got together and made like a conjoined box where they add the bill for Netflix, obviously, to your bill, but like you have Netflix in your cable. That would be interesting. Or it'd be interesting to see them compete against each other.
I think between stuff like Amazon Prime and Hulu and Netflix, that's where it's headed. I think it's going to take a long time, because those networks get, they want their money.
Hulu is very free. Hulu is more free than Netflix. You must pay for it. You can't watch it. Hulu has Hulu Free, which is where I watched Naruto for a long time, and then there's Hulu Plus, I believe it's called, where you pay for it and you get stuff earlier.
Yeah. Otherwise, you sometimes have to wait a week or two for stuff.
Well, the thing now, I think they know most people just don't have the time to sit and watch a series that drags out over months and months anymore.
Yeah.
Most people just don't have the patience for that anymore, which is why they were brilliant to release the entire series once. Because they know people love to binge watch.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the big thing now, is binge watching. So to give people that, and I know, or I don't know anyone, but I've heard that there were some people who sat and watched the entire thing in one sitting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I did, and it took me a couple of days, but it's there for people to do that, and I think that's the preference. And you're right, Brent. I think that's going to become the thing for most.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah, eventually, I think that's going to become the thing for things that aren't time sensitive.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people now that I know that, what they do is they have Netflix and Hulu, you know what I'm saying, and then they don't have cable, and they get high definition antenna, and they can still get the local channels, and that's what they have.
Yeah.
So it depends what you watch.
Right.
So if you watch some other stations that you can't get, there's shows that you like to watch that are not available on Netflix or Hulu, then it's different. You know what I'm saying? So I think in time, though, it's all going to be streamable that way.
Yeah.
Personally, after Smallville, it's been hard for me to really sit down and say, okay, I'm going to watch this TV series when there's a mid-season finale, there's the actual season finale, and then you got to wait so long for the next season. I'd rather have the whole season, like John said, available, all 21 episodes, so I could watch it at my leisure. And hell, maybe I'll wait till the next season's almost ready to come out before I get to the finale, so this way I have not like a 3 to 4 month gap, like what they're doing with, like what they did with Smallville, what they do with Green Arrow, like what they're going to do with Flash, where you got to wait. Like I believe the finale for Green Arrow happened this week. Flash is next week, I think, and then we don't see them again until fall.
Yeah.
Well, they've done that with Gotham too. They put something I mean, Gotham is. I'm lost. I think I missed an actual new episode last week because I was so used to them having reruns.
Yeah.
That
they had 2 breaks.
That is no way to build a viewership.
Right. Fox is notorious about that, though.
Yeah.
They do that. The only exception I think was 24, which they were pretty consistent with that, but.
They showed it full out.
Yeah, every other show I can think of that they always did that. They would give you a 5 or 6 episode run, then take 2 weeks off, and then another couple episodes and 2 weeks here. It's crazy.
Smallville, I think, was, because it's 21 episodes, I think it was 7, and then they repeated the 7, so that was 7 weeks with nothing. 7, and then there was the mid-season finale, and then they did like 3 or 4, did a couple of repeats, and then they finished it off with like the last 3 or 4 episodes, and that was the end of the season. It was so frustrating. And that happened to me too with Smallville, John. I think I missed 2 weeks worth of Smallville because I thought it was still on reruns, and it was one of those like 2 or 3 week gaps instead of like the long gap like I was used to.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, now it's to the point where I have no motivation to go back. You know, any momentum that the story had is lost now.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'd just soon wait for the end and wait for it to pop up on one of the streaming things and watch it there or watch it on, you know, the Fox channel thing. I mean,
I mean, we've been T-bowing it, and I think we have like 6 or 7 episodes of it just stacked up.
Yeah, I mean,
the same reasons. You know?
I think so do I. You know, I've just let the DVR catch it, and it's like, I don't care. You know, there's no motivation for me to run and watch it. Like, you know, say something like Flash, which has been, with a few exceptions here and there, been relatively consistent about giving us new episodes.
Yeah, and that's a show I have to watch right away.
Well, me too. The only one I didn't watch right away was last week's because I was having some TV issues, but I did watch immediately the next morning when I got up. So.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess we're in agreement though here with Daredevil. I mean, I think like 13. I mean, it's made like a movie, and I think you can tell a better story this way than an actual, I think, a real movie, because you can take your time, but yet you can display it like a movie and people can watch it all at once if they choose to, or 2 days or 3 days, whatever it is that you want. And so it will still feel the same way to you, like a movie, just a longer one, spread out. So
yeah, 13 is a good arc to tell a single story.
Right.
It was. Oh, good. Like, sorry.
No, what I was going to say, was there a favorite episode that you guys liked? Like, is there a favorite one for you?
I'll get back to you.
Chris, episode 1.
Yeah, Chris loved episode 1
because it hooked me.
John, what about you? I'm trying to think.
You know, I really like the one with the Kingpin. You know, the one where it's kind of the day in the life of the Kingpin.
Right.
I also really like the one where it was Murdoch versus Nelson, which I didn't think I'd like the episode because, you know, I knew there was gonna be an upheaval there, but that kind of flashback into their lives.
Yeah.
You know, their early lives, their college lives were cool. And then, like, seeing that genuine... And you know, I got to go back to the guy that's playing Foggy. I mean, the look of genuine pain on his face to see, you know, what he sees is this betrayal by Matt. He played it so well. It was like, you know, you would think Matt stabbed him, the way he, you know, the look of anguish on his face, like, you lied to me, our whole lives is a lie, you know, and all the stuff. And I think they played it brilliantly where they didn't have, you know, Daredevil or Matt, you know, trying to explain himself or anything, just, you know, saying I'm sorry,
right,
and stuff like that, and kind of letting Foggy get there on his own. Yeah. I really like that. You know, really, their relationship was more of the story to me than all the investigative stuff that they've got Karen doing and everything. You know, if I had to lodge one complaint, maybe, and it's a minor nitpicky complaint, is that they're trying to build her character up too much to be kind of this
the person that keeps them in check.
Well, yeah, not just that, but she's got this kind of detective role in the show,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
then it's separating her from Matt and Foggy because
Yeah.
she's keeping all that stuff to herself.
Right.
So and I guess it's a good story idea because it does create conflict,
Mhm.
but
Well, it is
I don't know if
funny,
it's the right kind of conflict.
right? Because she's kind of like keeping secrets from them,
Yeah,
and but now those two are keeping secrets from
keeping
her.
a secret from her.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right.
so it is a balance in that way, but I can't. Honestly, I can't help but feel, even though, people in the story said, no, you didn't do it. I kind of think she got Ben killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Definitely.
Well, definitely, because she really pushed him to pursue the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's kind of it's coincidental, and it's not really her fault per se, but by
Yeah. It wasn't directly her fault.
association, yeah, it wasn't directly her fault, but she did maybe push him to pursue it a little earlier than maybe he needed to.
Well, she's tricked him into visiting the mother.
Yeah,
and that's
she
what
tricked
did it,
him into
so-
missing the mother, and that's what did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Right.
what. Yeah. That's what. finished
Yeah, and
it.
that's what that's kind of what got him killed. But and the other thing, the crooked people part got resolved a little quick for me too. All the people that were supposedly on the Kingpin's payroll.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The fact that they were all getting arrested so quickly.
Yeah.
That's my
That's
other
true.
little nitpicky part.
I'm thinking that was kind of. I'm kind of thinking that was kind of an in between the lines kind of thing. That was off panel. We saw a lot of that progression. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, just that montage of people getting arrested. That
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
okay, maybe that was a little, maybe some of those people should have been a little bit deeper than they were to be so blatantly out there, to be
Yeah,
seen
and
and be arrested.
Yeah, my only nitpick with that was that they jumped on the tiniest bit of evidence to arrest all these people.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm just, I'm kind of hoping that it's stuff that we haven't seen.
Right.
It's just kind of stuff we don't need to necessarily see.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
or like at the Bugle or whatever paper
Yeah.
Ben was writing,
Right.
the Bulletin or whatever it was. That one woman that got arrested. You have no clue who that woman was.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
She's a
Yeah.
background character,
Yeah.
but she got
I think
busted.
that,
I'm like,
I think
where's
that was
her
just-
story?
yeah, I think that
It
was
was
just to
just
show that it wasn't the editor. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
wasn't the
that's-
editor, but
Yeah.
still, it's like, okay, I want to know her story now. How is she connected to the kingdom? And the whole thing with, Leland Owlsley is supposed to, technically be the owl.
The owl.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
owl,
the supervillain, the owl. I don't see this guy being the owl. Really.
He did mention having a son, so I'm wondering.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe he could down a weird flying thing and go after Daredevil, but I
He
don't
was
see
funny
this,
though.
Yeah, I don't see this
Yeah.
guy being,
He was funny though. I liked all his
Oh yeah, he was funny.
witty remarks. Yeah.
Cracking wise at every. I expected Kingpin to punch him a couple
Yeah,
of
he
times.
certainly didn't fly though.
No, but he was,
Oh.
the way he was cracking on, he would just say crap, and I'm like, I can't
Yeah.
believe you just got away with saying that to,
Yeah.
the guy who's
Right.
supposed to be your equal at least, or your superior perhaps,
And and definitely more physically domineering. And
Oh yeah,
threatening,
yeah. Well,
But
going
he
back
didn't
to
care.
he didn't. Going back to what Mike said, he saw what he did to the guy's head in the
Yeah.
car, and
Yeah.
still cracking wise like that. It's like you're asking
That's
for
awesome.
a car door,
Yeah.
pal.
That's another thing I love. I'll answer the episode question, but another thing I loved about Kingpin was that he, like I said, he was playing everything close to the vest, like not acting like he didn't know those languages and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I did.
I thought
like
that was a nice touch. As far as my favorite, I don't know. 9, 10, and 11 were all really good episodes. You had the one was where the first battle between Kingpin and Daredevil, which I really loved because he got his butt kicked.
Yeah.
And that was your first instance of the physicality, I think, of Kingpin.
Right.
And so I thought that one was really good. And that was the ninja fight one too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was
So
great. That was good. Yeah. The Nelson versus Murdoch that you mentioned, I thought that was a really strong one. And the one after that with Karen where she got grabbed, I thought that was a really strong episode for her.
Yeah.
But I'd say probably the one with Nobu and Daredevil getting his butt kicked by Kingpin was one of my favorites.
Yeah, I
What about you, Mike?
I mean, there's a lot of them, but that one with the Naboo thing, that was really awesome. I really enjoyed, though, the episode, going to the earlier episodes, the history between young Matt Murdock and his father. I like seeing that, you know, with his business behind, taking money for taking dives, and then he wanted to prove to his boy that he could win a fight, and that was the last time that he saw his father. And so I really enjoyed that episode, and I like the Stick episode because Matt looked at Stick as a father figure, and Stick left because he knew that's what he was looking at him as, and he didn't want to get close to him. And so, and you can see that Matt was holding that against him. So I thought that was like a pretty powerful episode there. Going back to those earlier episodes. But I couldn't, like, every episode was good. It's hard to pick a favorite, but it was good stuff.
Oh, there are two things, actually. One, and actually I ended up talking to our friends, Brant, Comfort, and Adam about this.
Mm-hmm.
They were asking about some of the blind stuff. And, my wife teaches the blind. So I picked up a lot of stuff over the years. This show is so perfect in its blind portrayal. I mean, just some of the minor stuff that other people would notice, like when the realtor, the way he takes her arm, that is the proper way to lead a blind person around. And when he describes Braille, that's actually the proper description of Braille, and the fact that he doesn't use his cane. I mean, he doesn't need a cane anyway, but blind people don't use their cane in their own house because they know where everything is.
Right. Yeah, they know their surroundings, right?
Right, they know their surroundings, so they don't need their cane around the house. Or, like, think of it, like when you get up in the middle of the night and walk around your bedroom, you don't flip on the light because you know where everything is for the most part.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of the same thing. And then the other thing we didn't mention is the whole world on fire thing.
On fire,
way of kind of talking about the radar sense without calling it a radar sense.
Yeah.
I thought that was
clever.
the coolest thing that they did across the board. The way they described that, was almost. I mean, it's not true to real blind thing, but it kind of is. You know how they get that sense of the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he sees it. It's not like all this light and heat coming off of everything. But it was just so. It's just so great that they didn't go to this mystical. Oh, it's this. It's this thing that I got. It's like a radar, and all that.
Yeah.
So that they really went into detail and described it as this kind of feeling or this extra connected to his senses but higher. I thought it was just incredible.
Yeah, I thought it was cool the way they explained that too from a scientific.
It makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, because in the comics it's like, that's a common classic origin, chemical spill, gain superpowers. But the way they did it here, it was like those chemicals burned his eyes, so obviously it obstructed his view and changed his view, and it made sense. It made logical sense the way he saw, and I thought that was really clever too.
Yeah, it's really good.
It really did. It almost had a scientific background to it rather than this sort of supernatural thing. Or if you harken back to the movie, you know, the Daredevil movie with that kind of black and white vibration thing. Thinking of it as, you know, this thing of light and heat and all this other stuff makes a lot more sense than that kind of black and white, you know, sort of
Yeah, we don't talk about
thing.
that movie.
Yeah, I know, but that's really the only other way I can you know, visually describe it to the movie.
Yeah.
It makes a lot more sense the way he described it than that, and I'm kind of glad that they haven't showed us how he sees it. I hope they don't. I hope they just go with the fact that we know this is how he does what he does, and that's good enough. And you know, we don't need to see how he sees it. I think if we see it, it's going to take away from the realism.
Yeah.
Even in the comics, Mark Waid run right now, it's rare that you actually get to see the radar send. You don't see it in every episode.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, we shouldn't, for the most part, see it unless we shouldn't see him and the radar sense at the same time. It's like, how are we looking through his eyes, you know?
Right.
Unless that's the point of the story that we're seeing through his eyes, you know, there's no reason for the reader or the viewer to really be in his head that way.
Yeah. And I love how that led to that Nelson Murdoch fight too, where he was like, "Can you see?" And he tried to explain it. He was like, "But you can see," and you know, it's just
he couldn't understand that.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah. I mean, you got to really sit there and you know, put yourself in Foggy's shoes for a second in that episode and sit there and go, man, you know, he feels probably right now so betrayed and can't believe that his best friend is doing what he's doing. I mean, you think about it. I mean, he's practically getting killed every single night he goes out there, you know, so crazy stuff. I mean, it's a good show. I can't wait for season 2. So it'll be good. It'll be good stuff. So
I hope all the
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I hope all the rest of the series are as good.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. So
with Jessica Jones and this whole thing.
Yeah, that's the only one I'm worried about a little bit is the Jessica Jones one.
I don't like the face.
Yeah, she doesn't really look the part of Jessica Jones, but I'm hoping that she will kind of embody the character still.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
I honestly think they're going to avoid the former superhero kind of tale of Jessica Jones.
Yeah,
which I guess that doesn't take that much away from her, but at the same time, if they do go there, I can't see her as a former superhero. It just doesn't work.
I mean, they can allude to it, but I don't think we need to see it.
Yeah.
You know, we don't need to see her running around in a costume. Yeah, you know, the same way they alluded to some stuff in Daredevil. You know, they can say, yeah, I was, you know, blah, blah. I was Jewel, I was Nitrous, or whatever, whichever one of her characters they're going to yank out of it. But, hopefully they won't go full on into that. I really hope they follow kind of the Alias model, you know, and just say, okay, this is what happened, this is that, but now I'm a detective, and, you know, I just happen to end up with a lot of superhero cases.
Yeah.
Which,
it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how they're going to portray that line of work for her. I mean, you know, which heroes are they going to bring up for her to have a case about? I mean, they obviously can't use Captain America the way they did in Alias, or Rick Jones, you know, because there is no Rick Jones in the Hulk universe.
Or
So
knowledge.
so it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do.
Yeah. Chris, did you have anything to add about Daredevil?
No,
Real
I
quick
have
before
to
we
watch the rest, but I thought the first episode was awesome. I love Foggy's personality from the first episode. It just had me questioning Foggy a little bit, like Mike, because he was kind of all, let's do this for the money, not because we want to help somebody. And then like towards the end, you kind of saw he see things Matt's way. I'm Daredevil from the first episode alone. I say deserves a season 2. I can't wait to watch the rest of it to actually get the full season.
Fact. Yeah,
you're gonna
you'll
love
enjoy it. Yeah, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
And again, I like
and
that.
Foggy does keep.
Oh, go ahead, Brent.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I love that it's available to me whenever and wherever I want, and I don't have to watch it at a specific time on a specific day on a specific channel.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Foggy thing. Oh, go ahead, John. Sorry.
So I was going to say, not Netflix, YouTube has kind of given me the attention span of a butterfly. So I'm really impressed that this was able to catch me as quickly and as completely as it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I was gonna say, and then we'll wrap it up for this part, is that Foggy stuff. He still does go into that a little bit. He mentions the money here and there, but you can tell throughout that that's not his true.
That's
It's-
not
yeah.
It's a facade kind of.
He makes jokes about it. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So, all right. So real quickly, since we got a late start and we're going a little bit long with this, we'll talk about the Star Wars trailer. John, all the rest of us have talked about it on Comic Frontline Live, so get your opinion first, and then we'll quickly go over ours. Did you see it?
I did see it. I probably saw it the first day it came out. I thought it was excellent. I'm not the fervent Star Wars fan that a lot of people are, although I do like it, and I've always liked it. I didn't go crazy over it the way a lot of people did. I actually was more amused by it than anything else.
Really?
Yeah, well, I made a joke about the crash Star Destroyer, saying darn stormtroopers can't drive any better than they shoot.
That's
Stuff like that. But yeah, I thought it was really cool. They haven't really. There's not enough of the story yet for me to really know what it's about. I kind of, at the end when Han and Chewie showed up, I was like, oh, that's cool, but they say, he said, Chewie, we're home, and I'm thinking, what home? It's like retirement home, nursing home, but no, I was thinking, if they're on the Falcon, how did he lose it? It's like, either Leia made him get a mom ship, like a mom car, but a mom spaceship.
Yeah.
Or he lost it to Lando in another poker game, and he just finally got it back. But, how did they, if they're home on the Falcon, I want to know how they lost it. Because, last we saw him, he had the Falcon.
I think that scene was more we're home when it comes to the action.
Maybe, but
Yeah.
But we'll see. I like the voiceover. The Luke Skywalker voiceover made him sound a little Darth Vader-y. It made him sound a little like they're going to follow or at least touch on the thing of where, if you're familiar with Star Wars mythos, though, Luke went dark for a little while.
Yeah.
And then they, Han, Leia, and the gang brought him back out, essentially, of being dark. So, I don't know if they're going to touch on that at all. It sounds like a little bit of that. It sounds like, I don't know if they're going to touch on Han and Leia's kids, if that's going to be part of the story or not.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
I don't know if that girl is supposed to represent one of Han and Leia's kids. I
think she is.
I think she might be. She might be Luke's.
I think she's Luke's, actually. I think opposite. She's
Okay,
you know,
I think
I
she's
don't know
one
if
of them
they're,
kids.
yeah, and I don't know if they're going to touch on the academy that Luke. If also in the mythos, Luke restarts the Jedi Academy
Right.
to train new Jedi. So I don't know if they're going to touch on that either. It's all very vague. The other thing I got is, okay, we're not using clones anymore, stormtroopers. Obviously.
I don't think that's the case. I think he's one of the rebels.
You think he's a
If we're
rebel
talking about
that's
this.
running around in stormtrooper outfit? Because, well,
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
think
kind of,
so.
I kind of more like the idea. I hope he's a stormtrooper that turns, because you know you see him running with the girl. He's in his stormtrooper outfit, and she's in, well, you know, typical rebel garb or typical
Yeah.
sort of pseudo Jedi garb. Um, so you see them running together. Um, so you know, I hope maybe he's a stormtrooper that turns, which also begs the question of, are they going to touch in the thing where the Empire re-rises or re-emerges or whatever empires do?
During Rogue Squadron for the 64 game, it takes place after Darth Vader is killed. Actually, Rogue Squadron did continue, and the Empire was still around. They were more like it basically tides changed. The Empire became like the rebels, and the rebels basically freed the galaxy. So now it was up to the Empire to re-enslave the galaxy. So I don't know if they're gonna go with that, like with the game, but they kept the Empire still around, just out of power.
Yeah, that's J.J. Abrams, so it's hard to tell. You know what if they're going to follow any of the pre-prescribed storylines, or if they're going to go off in a totally different direction.
I mean, they said that the books are going to be different from
Yeah.
the new movie series. I mean, they blatantly said that, so you know that it's going to veer off of that. So they might have some elements maybe from there,
Right.
but I wouldn't expect very much from the book universe, from the expanded universe that way. You know, so I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, for me, it looks like maybe a new rise of an empire. I don't know. It's interesting because from the way you look at it, you see a Star Destroyer that is, crashed into the ground, X-Wing fighter right next to it. So is that an old Star Destroyer saying that the Empire has been defeated? And then as you see throughout the trailer that there's a new Empire that rises. You know, so go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just
No,
going to add, you know, we obviously know the Sith are coming back because we saw that crossplay from that first.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So obviously Jedis are going to be growing in numbers again.
Who knows? Like the Jedi's could have grown already because, like John said, they might have some elements from the books where Luke is, Jedi Academy, things like that. So I don't know. We'll see. But I thought the trailer was really well done. It really, if you're a fan, it's going to get you excited. It really does. It is a trailer that was done right. The special effects look awesome. Like, you saw these TIE fighters in there. You saw Star Destroyers. You saw an Imperial shuttle in there. You saw, different type of stormtroopers in there as well. So you saw a little bit of everything on there real quick, and I don't know, it gets me excited. Man, I can't wait. So
I was actually more excited by the first one, where the Falcon,
Really?
Swooped upside down and
that was
cool.
Going up
Yeah,
to
that
TIE
was
fighters.
cool.
Yeah, it was more.
Yeah.
I was more jazzed by that than actually seeing any of the people, and
I
I don't know why people
like,
are enamored with that robot. I just don't.
I don't necessarily see like excited about the people. Oh, I mean, I was excited to see Han and Chewie at the end, but the other people I didn't really care about. Oh, I was happy about. I like looking at the worlds, and I like again. I love villain stuff, so I like looking at the stormtroopers and just seeing that stuff, So that's what gets me excited.
Well,
I love the X-Wings. The X-Wing.
X-wings are cool.
In something like Star Wars, the villains kind of define the heroes. So I mean, they're very important.
Oh, absolutely.
Chris, what about you?
Well, Brent, I love the trailer. It was excellent. It was done perfect. I loved the whole Luke explaining to somebody, I had it, my sister had it, my father had it, and they show that scene with Darth Vader's, burnt helmet, because in the last movie, Luke burned, it's the Jedi way of, I guess, death. The whole thing, the X-Wings, the effects, and then that last scene with Han and Chewie, it was just perfect. It was that trailer overshadowed any other trailer that's come out in the past month, in my opinion.
It overshadowed everything.
It did.
Yeah,
It really did. It really overshadowed everything.
Yeah.
But if anybody really enjoyed the Fantastic Four trailer, I have to question their...
It wasn't as bad as it has been, but it's still not the Fantastic Four.
Brad, it's bad. Brad, I don't want to look at the bright side of life.
It's not as bad. It's not bad for a movie. It's bad for a Fantastic Four movie.
Okay, yes.
If you like the thing to be a chocolate chip cookie man, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh,
as far as the Star Wars trailer goes, I thought it was fantastic as well. The Chewie and Han scene was just that was like geek out moment for me, and it was just I thought it was awesome. I can't wait for it. Chris, real quick, do we have any comments by chance?
Yes, I actually had them ready. We had a few. I was waiting for you to actually ask me. Okay. Going back in. Okay, starting from the beginning. We have first, Scotty Showman. Hey guys, happy Friday. Nice to catch a Zone 4 live. Jeremy Renfro says, hey guys, how is everybody tonight? Scotty answered him, so I'm not going to mention that comment. And then we have Jeremy with a question. Has anyone played Mortal Kombat X? If so, thoughts? And then Tim Marston actually commented back, said, pay for easy click fatalities, so much disappointment. I haven't played the game yet. I don't think any of us have played the game yet.
No, I haven't either.
No, I read the first issue of the comic and I did a fatality on it.
And there's only one other comment. It's from Tevia. Guys, what's your guys' opinion of the Speed Force? Because in my opinion, I'm so happy to see. Well, we're going to talk about Convergence.
Right. Which is a nice segue.
Go right into it.
Right, into Convergence, and we're going to be talking about everything we've read so far. Obviously, like I said at the beginning, a lot of us haven't read much of this week's books yet, so it'll be mostly week 1 and 2. But the main reason we wanted to do this live show was to get John Wilson's reaction on Convergence.
So I say we ask John because we've already been talking about the first already.
Yeah, exactly.
I will answer Octavia's question about Speed Force. There's a little Kevin Sorbo thing, that meme that's going around where he screams disappointed.
Okay.
That people might have seen. Yeah, with Speed Force, I was very disappointed.
Really
Really
liked that issue.
disappointed. I did not.
I think we liked it.
Why the hell is the turtle at the end of it?
This is from the Zoo Crew.
I know who he is. I'm asking, why is he there? Honestly,
because it's Convergence.
Because
That's all you need to know.
It's a con mess, is what it is. Actually, the whole thing with Convergence, I have a major problem with the entire concept because it's completely unsustainable.
Okay.
The fact that this guy, who's essentially Brainiac, took these cities, took essentially Gotham's or Metropoli from, that's the plural of metropolises for the rest of you. First off, I thought it was supposed to be all one city. They either all took Gotham's or all took Metropolis. I thought they had only taken Gotham's initially. Mm-hmm. And then I found out that someone took a Metropolis, and I'm like, what the, why? Because it didn't make sense to me that Batman would be in Metropolis for any reason.
Everyone seems to be in their separate in a different city.
In the
though.
wrong
Did you
city,
notice
yeah,
that?
in the reverse city. So, and well, let me stick on Speed Force, and then I'll branch out completely. Obviously, it made no sense for Wally to have the kids anywhere near him at this time. The whole thing was kind of a weird Deus Ex Machina to have the kids anywhere near him at that point. And then to have Fastback showed up just completely blew all reality out of this. I mean, the fact with it, well, okay, I'll go to the big thing. If he yanked these cities off of planets, why has no Superman come up, or why has no one that can do space travel? Why are they not looking for these cities? I mean, it's a different story with Kandor. I mean, Kandor, there was no other part of Krypton left. But the rest of these cities, he just yanked them out of space and time, and no one is looking for it. No one.
I think that's the thing, though. I think you touched on it. You said out of space and time. I think they're in a paradoxical place where you can't necessarily find them or reach them.
It's DC's little kind of plot hole where it's like we have the cities here, but their worlds don't realize they're gone yet because time for them kind of is frozen.
Well, see that they didn't mention that really that part, and then you had this one issue like at the end of issue 1, where they had all the Supermen flying up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I thought, okay, they're going to take out all the Supermen.
Yeah.
And, take out the most powerful character, and the lesser characters are going to have to deal with it. But they didn't do it. They just left the Supermen there. And that, you have all the Supermen flying up, and then the next issue has nothing to do with that. I mean, to me, honestly, the whole Convergence idea is Crisis on Infinite Earths meets the first Secret Wars.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's exactly what it is. And then it's unsustainable because that some of these heroes are not going to fight the way that he wants them to fight.
Yeah.
So he's
there's actually there's a moment where one person won't. I'm not going to spoil it because I don't know if you read it yet, John.
No, I haven't read 3 yet. But
okay, I'm just going to say what you're asking. It's answered in 3, I think.
Yeah, and honestly, a lot of the books are just bad. The stories are horrible, and it makes no sense that people like. The only one that I really liked was Nightwing and Oracle. And it still made no sense to me why the Hawks would come in there and start to fight.
Because he ships them there.
Well, I know he ships them there, but there's no sense for the Hawks to be fighting Nightwing and Oracle.
Well, I mean, they're the Flashpoint version, so they're not the...
Well, I know that. I know, but it just makes no logical sense for them to... These are supposed to be heroes.
Right.
Yet they're determined to go and essentially kill Nightwing and Oracle.
So that they could save their world.
So they could supposedly save their city. But it just makes no sense.
You're saying they've been too easy to the threat that he would destroy their cities, and they all are equally willing to kill each other.
It's like, how many times have any hero faced up against a villain that says, I'm going to destroy the world. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then, and some of the stories, like the one with Batman and Azrael was just horrible.
With the Shadow of the Bat?
Yeah, the Shadow of the Bat.
Oh, God.
It was terrible. It made no sense whatsoever. And I'm
Oh.
sorry, and Harley, the idea that she could just cure herself is one thing bad enough. And then the fact that Poison Ivy and Catwoman are going to make her crazy again. And another thing,
I thought that was a fun issue, though.
Right, it was
They gave her
fun,
drugs.
dumb. And the fact that they're going to have her fight Captain Carrot.
Yeah. Well,
You have
difficult.
to think about it physically. If you think about it, Captain Carrot is that world's equivalent of Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If he has his carrot with him. If he eats his carrot, he's that world's equivalent of Superman. How in the heck is Harley going to do anything to that? Not to mention the fact that he's a cartoon. So anything that she does to him is going to, if you use Toontown rules, anything she does to him is going to bounce off. Or, if he gets flattened, he's going to put his thumb in his mouth and blow himself back up. So it's completely nonsensical and stuff. And then, God, what were some of the other ones? They were all so bad. I mean, other than Nightwing Oracle. Nightwing Oracle was a good story. That was the only reason that I really liked that one. It was a good story. I bought into the romance. I bought into the whole thing. And when she said at the end, I've been fighting them for 10 minutes, Doctor Who popped in my head. It's like that build-up when Doctor Who's about to do something. Especially in the more recent, Matt whatever ones, the Matt Smith ones where he's about to do something cool and that dun 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 dun, dun would pop up. It's like that popped in my head. It's like, so that one was good, but then the fact that the Hawks are about to fight them ruined it. And
that was one of my favorite ones.
I really like that. And like I said, they're spending, or like I said before we started recording, they're spending so much time on that Dick Grayson from whatever world he's supposed to be from.
Earth 2.
Earth 2, yeah.
Okay, the Earth 2 Dick Grayson. Spending so much bloody time on him.
Oh, John, again, I have to tell you.
I know, something evil happened to him, but why spend so much time on him and then apparently dispatch him in whatever way he gets dispatched coming up? It makes no story sense to me. And, it's just the whole idea of this. I don't see how DC is planning to weave this mess into any sort of coherent thing to come up with. I mean, the new 52 I sort of get. Even though I hated it, I sort of get it. It was a complete reboot. It's a new world, essentially.
Yeah. Right.
Now they're taking a bunch of the old worlds. They're flat out destroying some of them.
Mm-hmm.
John, did you read week 2, by the way? I'm just curious.
I read half of week. I read Convergence 2, and then I read like half the issue.
Okay.
I got up to I went straight down through the list. I got up to Green Lantern. I haven't read Green Lantern or below that yet. So, but yeah, it's just the whole concept is unsustainable, and they're not making logical pairings. I don't understand why they're making such weird, seemingly random pairings that, one, make no story sense. I mean, as a writer, this thing is infuriating me.
like we were talking about before the show.
I was going to say it, I think. I think I'm going to say what Brant's going to say. Go ahead, Brant.
I was just going to say the Princess Fern thing we were talking about before the show.
Well, it's like they're, like you guys were saying before the show, they're popping in stuff that they're not giving any backstory for.
Mm-hmm.
They're expecting people to know these things. I mean,
Yeah.
I know, like, I was able to name off some of this stuff because I have a long history with DC. Like,
Yeah.
before the New 52, I have a long
Right.
history with the regular DC universe and all the stuff that came before and all the stuff that happened since Crisis and all that.
Yeah.
So, I kind of know these things. But they're just popping stuff on new readers and expecting them to know stuff, which is
I
rude,
think they're doing
which
that
is
on
ridiculous.
purpose. I think they're doing that on purpose to make sure that the new readers don't say, "Hey, this is interesting. Maybe you should revisit this." So instead, they're throwing stuff like Mike Spider say, "I know, Mike, you didn't read anything really much other than Green Lantern, which I know you related with last week." But for
Right.
new readers completely of DC Comics with the New 52, for me, Convergence, and I'll say more when it's my turn, but just to agree with you, John, it feels like it's for the old readers and the old readers only, and to purposely alienate the new readers, because even Mike T's having problems accepting a lot of the miniseries, because they're purposely only giving you a backstory on the main character of the book and not all the characters in the book. So either you do the research or you have no clue who the characters are, and initially you lose interest in the book because you have no background knowledge whatsoever.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like we were talking about before the show, how John had to fill Mike and I in on some of the stuff that happened in Convergence #3 with Skartaris and Deimos and all these different characters we had no frame of reference for.
Right.
So Deimos is somebody old.
Yeah, he's from
Really?
Warlords Town. That's where the Skartaris is. It's
Right,
apparently,
Skartaris is
Warlord.
Warlord's land.
Right.
Yeah.
Deimos is his main villain. He's like an evil sorcerer's dude.
I didn't know that either.
But as an old reader, I'm infuriated that they're doing this stuff to kind of the old characters. They're if these are supposed to represent the other. I mean, the whole idea of the multiverse, right, was that we established that there are different Earths, and the New 52 was one Earth, like I've always said.
Right.
And that the real, quote-unquote, real DC Earth is out there somewhere. Right. And then, there's Shazam World, and, like they always did before Crisis, they said, okay, the Justice Society happened on Earth 2, regular DC happened on Earth 1, the New 52, or, it's another Earth, Wildstorm's its own Earth, whatever. But what they're doing now is they're not even... It doesn't seem like they're even addressing the whole multiversity thing that Grant Morrison was starting to lay out.
Yeah.
They're using the Black Superman. I don't know what his name is because I didn't read multiverse.
Oh, Val-Zod.
Val-Zod, okay. They're using him, and they're centered on him a lot, and they're centered on Thomas Wayne and that other Green Lantern and the Flash with the bike helmet. And the other, that group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm a little confused why they're centering on that group of people.
We all are.
Yeah, we are too.
It's like, why these guys? Why not the traditional DC Justice League? Yeah. I mean, unless you're bringing them there to kill them.
That would be I think would hold true to what this event represents, is if you had older characters in there, like you said, like the original Justice League or whatnot. I mean, that's what was frustrating about this event for me, at least. It's like this event focuses on the Earth 2 people, which they've had their whole events for how many issues was it now? And then now it focuses them around them again. And what I was expecting from Convergence, at least the main event portion of it, was maybe, Telos controlling the heroes or doing something and they're all fighting against each other. Just the way they're doing it, it just doesn't make sense. I don't like it. I really don't like it. I don't like how
fans are feeling right now.
Right.
If he was controlling them, it would make sense.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
or even controlling half of them.
Right. And then, I'm probably the greenest out of all you guys when it comes to the DC universe. So it's like, for me as a new reader trying to pick this up and read everything,
Yeah.
I can't really get excited for it. Like, I'm trying, and there's certain books that I thought were okay, and I look at everything with open eyes. You know, I have no judgment. I look at every book that I ever read, period, with open eyes, because I think if you get jaded, then it ruins the hobby for you. You know, but here it's really hard to get into the stuff that you don't know. You know, it's like you guys are saying, they expect you to know all this stuff, and you just don't. And I think that's the wrong approach for a major event like this, because you want everyone to read it. So when we had like Villains Month was much better because it focused on a villain, and it told you a story about the villain, where they came from, what they represented. It got you excited. Last year we had, what was last year's 3D?
5 years later.
5 years later. That wasn't bad. You know what I'm saying? That was, you know, we made fun of the books or whatever it was, but it had a good premise where everybody could read this. If you don't know Zero Year, if you don't know Crisis, if you don't know Kingdom Come, if you don't know this, how are you going to relate to these versions of these characters? You know, so it's just frustrating. Like, I know some things, but I don't know. Like, I'm not like you guys. Like, I'm not like Chris. I'm not like you, John. Like, when it comes to these, because like I read Marvel, so, and I know very little of the DC, so it's kind of frustrating to read this. And then, at least in the main event, you need to make a story where everyone can follow it. At least the main event part of it, you know. So
And
that's how I feel about it.
Another problem I have with them using the Earth 2 characters is that, you know, if after Convergence we're going back to the New 52 predominantly, that world for a while, at least through Divergence or whatever, you know, Earth 2 has its couple of titles, but everything else was the New 52, and yet they're focusing on this one tiny section of the entire New 52. It would even make more sense if they used the New 52 Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
Either that, or like you guys said, the original one from you know, the pre-New 52. Either way, you know, it would make more sense than using Earth 2 characters that, you know, granted it was a popular series, but it's not like everybody read that version of Earth 2. Everybody knows who these characters are. It's just kind of odd that they're using them as leads here.
Right. Like, I can say that Justice League is a much better series than Earth 2. You know, especially. Maybe not when Tom Taylor was writing it was really good, but when Tom Taylor left and then it went to
World's
the
End.
weekly series to World's End, it's just like it was horrible.
Yeah.
And then you got to see it every single week. So why do you need to base your main event off of the characters that we just saw every single week for a half a year? It just,
And now we'll see them every single week again.
yeah, it just how can it get you excited? You want to see something new, something fresh, and to me, it just seems like a new story arc for Earth 2. That's all it is.
Personally, I thought that the Convergence main series, especially with the covers that they were showing, was going to follow Telos jumping from one city to another, have interactions with different versions of the DC universe. Yes, you'll have the Earth 2 characters who are obviously, I mean, they're blatantly, by issue 3, making it obvious that Earth 2 superheroes are going to be the ones that predominantly possibly save the day in the end. But while they're doing their thing, the book would focus on what's going on all around the planet, not just specifically focused on Thomas Wayne, friggin' I can't stand Dick Grayson from Earth 2 anymore. And then you got the other characters like Green Lantern and Superman and everything. And that's not even Superman, that's Val Zod. We all call him Val Zod. We don't even call him Superman. And then, I'm sorry, but is anybody else getting irritated by whatever that girl's name is? That's the avatar of the Red from Earth 2.
Yeah.
It's a little too
like, who is
giddy,
she?
too giddy and happy for a moment where you're going to die, possibly. And she just, oh, can I drive the Batmobile?
Yeah,
No, it's
yeah,
broken.
she's annoying.
Yeah.
I want her to die.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I have nothing to base this on, but I honestly think that's why they're using them. they're going to set them up to die.
That's possible.
Because there's no other reason that I can see to center on these characters and not say something more established.
Well,
because I thought the whole idea of Earth 2 was that, or wasn't it that Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman were dead?
The original three.
At the very beginning of this.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it kind of evolved out of that. But I honestly, like I said, I have nothing to base this on, but just from a story standpoint, it would seem that there's no other reason, because none of these characters are particularly likable. And granted, I haven't read a lot of the Earth 2 stuff, because, once again, as Mike was saying, I just didn't care. There was no reason for me to read it. There was nothing that drew me in. And another bad thing that they're doing is, I guess they're trying to give us some story elements with those things in the back. I don't know if you guys bother to read them.
I don't.
A few of them.
I glance at them, but the little things in the back, they really don't help. They really don't tell a lot.
They don't give you enough information.
No, they don't.
Really
for me,
those should be in the front, first off.
Yes.
For me, they focus on the character that I don't want to hear about and leave out the fact.
Not even the character you just read.
Yeah.
They focus on someone else. So, one, that's their two big mistakes there. One, they should be in the front. Two, they should explain who this character is you're about to read about. Like they used to do, harken back to the 90s, where there was that thing in the front. The story thus far, previously in Superman, blah, blah, blah. This happened.
Which Marvel still does.
Marvel still does, but, DC got out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, like Mike was saying, there's no touchstone here. I don't care about these guys. I hope they die. Especially Grayson. I am sick.
That's
sick
what they're
to him. It's like, how could you? You're never going to be Robin. You're never going to be Nightwing. You're too whiny. You're too self-obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of them no help to anybody.
A lot of them were whiny though. It wasn't just Dick.
Well,
Dick,
they all were kind of whiny, but he was especially so. And Thomas Wayne Batman is dragging him around like a puppy for some reason, taking him to current Bruce Wayne Batcave and all this other stuff, and it's like, what use is this guy? He serves nobody. He's not even an everyman character. He's not, he's not our touchstone to the story. He's a guy we're quickly loving to hate and hoping gets sucked up by whatever that silver crap is that keeps capturing them every 5 minutes.
Well, in issue 3, Convergence, maybe your wish is starting to come true.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys keep telling me something bad is going to happen to this kid.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
getting back to the books, it's just... And also, that's another thing. These first issues, they've only got 2 issues of each one.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You're barely setting up the fight by the end of the first issue.
Yeah.
You're wasting space here. The fight should be starting about halfway through and continuing.
We were talking about how they were so formulaic that every book was the same.
Yeah,
it is. Even week 3 is the same.
Yeah, they're very cookie cutter.
Yeah, it's like introduce the character, have a little bit of their life under the dome, and then, oh, look, the dome is coming down, and let's run around the outside outskirts, and oh, look, there's a city in the distance. And
that's another problem I have, and you guys touched on it before, that these are all heroes for the most part. And these domes come down and they realize, oh, my city is on a different planet and there's all these other cities. Why, as heroes, would they not just all come together and say, you know what, let's all defend our city, and all these heroes just take it to Telos?
Exactly.
Especially the first week's worth of issues, because that was the current DCU right before Flashpoint.
Well, honestly, when all the Supermen were flying up, I thought that, hey, like I said, either A, they're going to take out all the Supermen and all the minor characters have to do it, or B, why didn't all the Supermen get together and
Kick his
pummel
ass.
fellows
Well, you
immediately.
see that. You saw that in the
Straight up
Superman
kick
book.
his ass.
You saw that in the Superman book, though. He was trying to reach out to, unfortunately, what was the Flashpoint universe and try to bring them together to fight Telos because he didn't want to fight the battle. He tried to prevent the fight. Unfortunately, Jimmy, as he always does pre-New 52, kind of messed things up, and then it led to a fight which Superman didn't even want to fight back.
Well, yeah, and then the whole Shazam fight.
Yeah.
How
That's-
trite.
yeah.
Superman fight Shazam. Oh,
Right.
wow. We've never seen that before.
This is why I feel that the Secret War tie-in books might be better because they're separate stories. They're not just 2 issues and done. They're all different stories that are happening in Secret Wars, and it's going to be so many issues, and then the story's over. So they have a chance to tell a solid story. I think that's going to be the main difference here between Secret Wars and Convergence. Now, because now that we're in week 3 of Convergence, we obviously see a trend on how everything is exactly the same. And the problem with these issue 1s is that they're so cookie cutter, and if they didn't do a good job at grabbing the attention of the reader here, then these people are not going to pick up these issue 2s.
Yeah.
And when you got to some of these issue 1s, you're like, do I really want to invest in some of these? It's like, if you're a diehard fan of your favorite character, yeah, maybe. But some of the other ones where we're buying just to read, to see the event, and now you find out that you read it, like, John's like, Harley Quinn, I read that, and that's a joke. I'm not going to get the next issue. Like, I could care less about the next one.
Yeah.
And Shadow of the Bat, people read that first issue, and they're like, what the hell is this? I'm not going to buy this one. So you're going to see the number 2s, they're going to sit on the shelf much more longer than these number 1 books did.
Yeah. Another.
Okay, go ahead, Brant.
I was going to say another fear just crept into my mind after we're talking about all this stuff. I hope that the result of this is not DC messing with us and saying, okay, here's all the old characters that you wanted to see again. We're going to kill them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're done. They're wiped out, and then we're back to New 52, and that's it.
Oh, that
would be probably what this I had that fear already. I'm just keeping my mouth shut.
Yeah.
And Didio probably watching me every step of the way, looking for some evil ideas to plot against me and my love for DC. And this is setting up to be just like Spider-Verse, except this time everybody is going to die except 52.
There'd be riots in the street.
But when you look at...
But John, there were riots in the street with New 52, and did DC care? We're already in issue 40 of all the books.
When you look at... But you already know the books that are coming out. And does it have anything to do with your old DC heroes?
Nothing.
Right.
No, you have the New 52 books that sold, so they're still around, and now they're taking the other half and they're making miniseries. But you don't see anything with your old DC heroes in there. So where are your old DC heroes going? Are they just going back in the treasure box or capsule, and we're going to bring them out in another 20 years? Or are we going to ever see them again? Are they going to get killed? Is this their way of saying the final last hurrah of these heroes? You know what I'm saying? So you don't know.
Yeah.
So
if this is the last hurrah, it's scandalous because, like we were saying, with a couple of exceptions, most of these books fail to even be a good single story by themselves. None of the books, none of the ones, the number 1s and 2s so far have even made a good single story in and of themselves. They are so deeply connected to the event. Like, they've done this before where they've had books that were connected to events, but those books still manage to be good stories that just happen to occur during this particular event.
Yeah.
They did it with Crisis really well. They did it with,
Hero Hour pretty well.
Yeah, they did with Zero Hour pretty well. Final Crisis was, a mess from beginning to end. But
Blackest Night was okay.
it was okay, but it wasn't great. Really, the only good book to come out of that was the Rogue book.
Blackest Night was done really well.
Blackest Night was
the
done
main
excellently.
series,
Yeah. Blackest
Yeah,
Night was
Blackest
done
Night.
excellently. A lot of the tie-ins were done really well.
Yeah.
Like like the Starman tie-in was brilliant. So just they know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they're not doing it this time. They know how to do it well, but they're messing it up so badly this time. And if, like Mike was saying, this is the last hurrah for the 70-plus history of some of these characters, that would be scandalous.
Yeah.
I'd rather they mothball them until they get this new 52 crap out of their system.
Which will be when all the writers decide to leave and we get another staff of writers. Who
Maybe so.
Hey, old is better.
Yeah.
Because there are still a lot of good stories to tell with these original characters. They just got lazy, in my opinion. They just got lazy and had to start the same way, honestly, that they did the Ultimate Universe at Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
They got lazy, they got tired of dealing with continuity, and decided that they wanted to go and start their own thing, but they ended up doing the exact same thing. They ended up writing the exact same continuity eventually.
And then they had to destroy it.
And then they had to destroy it, exactly.
Yeah.
So, it's crazy.
You know what? I did read this week's Green Lantern Corps. That book has a good classic DC nostalgia feel to it that I liked, because it just opens up with what you think is like superheroes, and it's kids. It's like superheroes pretending to be kids pretending to be superheroes, and it just reminds you of like the Super Friends. They mentioned Gleek in there, and I was like, wow, this is a really good book. Like I like that book. And it had Lee Tompkins in there as a therapist, talking to Guy. So there were some good moments in that particular issue that I enjoyed. I think. Well, go ahead, Jabbar.
No, go ahead.
I think there was one other book I read this week, and it was Adventures of Superman. And for me, I thought it was just too much. It was just like, I was kind of bored with it. And it had to do with them being in the Phantom Zone and things like that. But if you're a Superman fan, a Kara fan, you might like it. But for me, it was just like, I kind of was bored reading it, in my personal opinion.
I think overall there have been a few of these books that have had nice character moments, touchstones, just reminding you what these characters are like. But I agree with you, John, that as far as a complete story, we're not really getting that. It is so linked to the event that you're not getting that fulfilling beginning, middle, and end kind of treatment from it. All the same, I'm still enjoying some of them, like the Nightwing and Oracle. I enjoyed Speed Force, and I liked Flash from this week, which was Barry Allen pre-crisis.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, it was a nice thing of him trying to adjust to normal life without his powers, and then the slow build-up of them coming back as the dome lowered. It was so I mean I do appreciate it for that, but it's not enough. I think, like we're all saying.
Yeah.
I think for me, week one, I enjoyed a lot of the books because a lot of the books are characters I'm familiar with because it's right before Flashpoint happened. Week two, I noticed I started to fall out with a lot of books. Some of the books I liked, some of them I really didn't care for so much. I didn't read all of week three, so I can't definitively say I liked or didn't like week three, but I will say that I've looked through them all for the artwork. Because I was wondering how the artwork, there are over 40-somewhat books, so that means there's got to be at least 40-somewhat artists, or maybe about 30-plus artists on these books. For week 1, no real big complaints. Week 2, continuity, and Jay pointed a lot of it out to me with Superboy, with Supergirl, with a lot of the characters. It's like the writers in DC didn't even waste or take the time to look into the past and to get the right information. They went off of stuff right before New 52 happened. Like Superboy being called Khan. Nobody called him Khan until early to mid-2000. He was the kid, he was the Metropolis kid, he was Superboy, period. No other name. He wasn't even Connor until the actual Volume 2 of Superboy. Or Volume 3. Sorry, Volume 3 of Superboy. With Week 3, I really don't like a lot of the artwork in these books. I've looked through a lot of them, and actually the 2 that I'm going to be reviewing on Frontline, I'm not going to spoil which ones they are, I really don't like the artwork in much at all. A lot of these books, my complaint for Week 3 is the artwork. I'm not keen to a lot of it. And Week 1, like I said, I'm used to these characters. I remember them. Week 2 started to have a disconnect because 0 Hour, I went back in time in 98 and went back into the 90s with Superman and a few other characters. This week is a lot of stuff that I've not read because I didn't read right after Infinite Crisis books. Not a lot of them, at least. And the next week's books, that's pre-Infinite Crisis. And even there, I'm even more limited than where I'm at with these books right now. And if the artwork in these books is going to take me out of these books, it's going to be very hard to get through Week 3 and 4 instead of just Week 4.
Right, and then you still got number 2s on top of it.
Exactly, and it's going to be the same artist, and it's going to be the same story, just the final art.
Yeah, so now you got to make a decision. Do you want to invest? Because some of the books you liked, and same here, some of the books I liked, but are you going to buy nearly as many this time around because the story didn't blow you away?
If I was just a reader, absolutely not. As a person who, I promised everybody on my review show I'd be reviewing all the books, I'll be getting it. But if I was just a casual reader, half of this stuff would be dropped.
Right.
If not more than half would be dropped if I was just reading it to read it and not to review it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there would only be a handful that I would keep reading. Just because I like those characters, yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine a casual reader getting into this at all.
No.
Because there's too much pre-knowledge that you have to have.
Yeah, true.
Unless you don't have to be a diehard DC fan, but you do have to know quite a bit.
Yeah.
To really get into this at all. I mean, technically in Speed Force, Wally's son lost his speed. Wally's son didn't have his powers anymore. After a certain section. So you have to realize that they took him out of that section where his kids still had their speed.
Yeah, it's really confusing the timing of all.
Yeah,
this.
The timing of a lot of them is weird, and it's all over the place.
Because 0 Hour, they were claiming Superman was dead, but a lot of but we all know Superman obviously was alive during 0 Hour, and a lot of the other characters weren't around during 0 Hour. But it's like they grab characters from different times in that period of time, but not that moment in time. So they shouldn't have classified it as right before that moment in time.
Yeah, with an event like this, you need to be really precise because there's so many different, Earths and timelines and so many different versions of these characters that you really need to take the time and make sure you get it right because there are people that do know a lot. People that have read these characters for years and years do know these timelines, and they're going to be like, well, these people or these editors had no clue what they're doing.
Right. I think that's what's frustrating me so much is because I do know a lot, and it's like, okay, that's uncharacteristic for that person to be acting that way, or that's ridiculous to put this person and this person together, like in the Batgirl one where Robin was just watching her.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell? That is not Tim Drake.
Yeah.
That Tim Drake would not act like that for any reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
He wouldn't sit there and be all gaga-eyed at her.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're not going with the theory that Tellus is doing some sort of control, that makes no sense.
That's the only thing that I was thinking of, like if he's controlling them somehow. But
Right.
it doesn't.
That
It
makes no
doesn't.
sense.
It doesn't. But it doesn't look like it is, because when you see some of these characters, like when you're reading the Superman books, like Superboy and Steel, they're acting their character.
Right,
You know?
right.
Right, exactly.
It's just, but
I
there
just
are several that are so uncharacteristic, and that's what I'm finding frustrating about the whole thing.
I just hope this isn't DC's way of saying, hey, remember when you said you wanted the old DC back? Well, look, we're giving it all back to you for 2 months, and you don't even know what you're reading. That would be a middle finger to everybody who wanted the old DCU back, but this is here DC explaining to you, well, you don't even remember it. You don't even know it.
I don't know. Honestly, I mean, I know we joke a lot. I don't think that they're purposely trying to mess with us. I think I think it's just they have, in my personal opinion, they've lost. No, they've lost touch with who they are, their characters, of what their fan base. I think they've lost touch with a lot of things, and maybe it's partially with all the changes in the corporate structure of the company, moving to the West Coast and all this stuff going on. There's a lot of factors probably at play here, but I think they've just kind of lost a step, with a lot of fans, and that's kind of what we're getting. We're getting all this stuff that's just not quite right, and I don't know how they're going to correct that ship, but it definitely needs some tweaking, in my opinion.
I just say, you don't put the people who are the leaders of Wildstorm, which failed after how many years, in charge of DC Comics and expect them to do better the second time. That's like taking good analogy, think fast. That's like taking Stan Lee and putting him on a baseball team and saying, well, he played baseball great before, he can still play good now. Speaking
of which, a lot of Wildstorm characters are popping up.
Majestic showed up in one series that I got a trade paperback of, and it was horrible.
Yeah, Gen 13, Deathblow, etc.
Let's not think about that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I don't think. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I don't think DC even knows what they're doing right now, because the thing is like I said, when this is over, they're coming out with the books that we're continuing to sell, the ones that they know they're selling, the staples, right? And then they're doing these miniseries. They're doing 24 miniseries, and their excuse is, well, it's so these are stories that that we need to tell our own way, or whatever it is, or we're making it for everybody. I think that's a load of shit. I think what it is that these are books that didn't sell in the past. We need to come up with something else, and we kind of don't know what to do right now. So I think why they're making these mini books, they're in the process of trying to gather their universe together again.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're really, honestly, in my opinion, that's what I think that they're doing. Because by making these books, and they came up with this idea, it buys them almost a full year.
Yeah.
So, so I think maybe a couple of them, they can say, like Batman Beyond, I think it was obviously planned and stuff like that, but a lot of the other ones, I just think it's just a cover-up for right now.
And, I'll always give them credit for trying the New 52, because it was a bold move, and it was something different, and it was, trying to bring in new readers, and, I give them credit for that. But a lot of the things that they've done since, and just their business practices, we talked about that on the show many times, with early on with all the editorial, interference and all that kind of stuff, and it just seems like they're very corporate-driven as opposed to creatively driven, and I think that's what's hurting some of the books, in my opinion. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I mean, when you look at when the New 52 was released, it was a very different type of, I guess, company the way it is actually even right now. I mean, everything was so different. They focused on the new characters, the new world. That's what they were focusing on, and obviously they're going to make corrections if books don't succeed,
Sure.
which is fine. But you didn't have events. You didn't have. They just told their stories,
Right.
and it was kind of cool that way. It's like Marvel did their thing. They did their events. You could see that their universe was cohesive because the people came together. But DC, their books were just separated. Everyone was separated. The only people that were together were like the Justice League, and it was
Right.
like that for the longest time until they came out with what was it, Pandora or whatever it was, or Trinity, or what was
Yeah.
it, Chris?
There was Trinity of Sin you're talking
The
about.
first,
Yeah, Trinity
yeah,
of
the
Sin,
first,
Pandora.
Yeah,
that
Trinity of
was
Sin,
like,
yeah.
the,
By
yeah,
the way,
the first.
Justin Paget agrees with us that Convergence it might as well just be titled Earth 2. Sorry, I was checking the comments when you.
That's all right. No, I mean, I just think that then they came up with their first event, and then it led into Forever Evil, and then from there on out, it just became this. Okay, we gotta get all this. We gotta top Marvel. We gotta do this, and we gotta do
That's what
that. We
I
gotta
feel
do all these
exactly.
events.
Yes,
You
they're
know,
trying to top Marvel because Marvel's dominating them in movies. They're doing really good with their comic books because their movies are doing really good. And now DC is starting to shake because they were on top with New 52 for at least the first 15 to 20 issues. And then all of a sudden, the fans did what the fans do best. They jumped ship and went right back to Marvel because DC wasn't doing anything new. They were just continuing with this new universe and nothing was going on.
right? But they should have known better. I mean, you obviously got
Absolutely.
to know that everyone wants to see what the new 52 is. So of course they're going to be number one for a while.
Yeah.
But then when they see what it is,
And they didn't
they're going
like
to
it.
go back. They're going to go back to where they came from. Yeah, and what they didn't like, then
Yeah.
they're going to go back to where they came from. So you got to expect that. You can't expect. The decision, I think, was wrong because you can't expect to completely change your universe and erase everything that you put together for 70 plus years and then expect to get the same sales.
Yeah.
And
Exactly. Well, I think it was to try to spike their sales. They literally were going off of we
there, you
want to do
said,
something to be in the face of media for a while. Even
but
Yeah.
Alan
weren't they
Scott,
weren't they in the process of possibly going in bankruptcy though?
they were. That's why they needed to do something to get attention their way.
Mm.
And after they got the attention, they continued to want to get more attention by
And
doing more drastic changes and things like Superman, Wonder Woman, Alan Scott being gay,
well,
the guy in
a
Titan
lot of,
being gay. I'm sorry, Brant.
yeah. No, I was just gonna add a lot of it had to do with the Superman copyright or no, the Superman lawsuit stuff.
Yes, it
too.
did. That's why Superman
Yeah.
changed drastically.
Right.
But now Marvel's doing the same thing with Bobby Drake from X-Men, and I love how on Twitter Brian Michael Bendis said, "I didn't do this to get attention. I just did it because I wanted to do it for the story." Bullshit.
Doesn't make sense for that character.
Bullshit. You wanted attention.
Well, of course. But, the thing with the New 52, of course, they wanted to get new readers.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they just went about it the wrong way.
Right.
Because,
Yeah.
you got all these new readers into it, but you lost all your old diehard readers, or you lost a
Right.
bunch
So it
of
was a
your
wash.
diehard readers
Hmm.
that really liked it. You could have... If you're going to have a multiverse, then why not use all of it?
Yeah.
Why can't this book be set here? This other book be set here? Why does everything have to be on the same planet, in the same universe? Because if you're griping about continuity, which
Mhm.
is one of the gripes anyway, which is why, they, to reset the universe is to have new continuity. Get rid of the notion of continuity. Get rid of the notion that all the stories have to fit together. Unless you're doing the big multi-world event, which is what Convergence was probably supposed to be.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a multi-world event. it's this one world event happening to characters that we don't necessarily care about on a planet that we don't even know its physical or dimensional location.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're going to do this thing of, oh, all these cities were taken away, why not also do the stories of the planets they were taken away from?
Yeah,
Right.
the background.
You know, why
Yeah.
not show Linda Park pining, or even better, trying to figure out, you know, because at the point where they are now, where Jay and the girl's name I can't remember, Iris. Jay and Iris have their powers.
Mhm.
Linda was like becoming very smart in the ways and manipulation of the Speed Force.
Yeah.
You know, she was becoming like a Speed Force scholar.
Right.
You know, why isn't she working with the Jay Garrick of that world?
Yeah.
You know, because if they're following that continuity, Jay Garrick was a big part of Wally's life at this point. Why isn't she
Yeah.
working with the Jay Garrick of that world on the cosmic treadmill to try to find the proper vibration to get to whatever world this is?
Yeah. Why
Why not show those stories too?
Yeah. Show how this they're dealing with an entire city missing from their
Right,
planet.
you know, it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
think of like the end of Buffy. You got this big freaking hole in the ground
Right. Yeah.
where a
Yeah.
city used to be.
It's
That
so
would
like,
be like Mecca for some people. There would be
Yeah.
like people would go there to take pictures.
Actually, in one of the recent issues of Buffy, actually people do go there every year to celebrate
It's like-
the destruction of the city.
Well, there you go. It's like go take a picture of the big freaking hole in the ground.
Yeah.
And why in Star Labs there with their little devices
Yeah.
going?
And there's
Where did the thing go?
There's Cadmus, there's Star Labs. I mean, you got at least 20 or 30 Lex Luthors who were pretty
Yeah.
smart from certain eras.
Right.
Right, exactly.
It's-
Why don't we see any of these people in here? And why is the only person doing something to the dome Flash?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to hit it with a bat.
And Emil Hamilton was trying to research.
And Emil Hamilton. But, you know, why didn't you see Bruce Wayne there doing something scientific?
Useful?
Useful. Yeah, exactly. Instead of,
Uh,
you know, in the one thing I saw, getting his butt kicked by Azrael.
Yeah.
And then having to go kick Azrael's butt because he went off script, which is what he did the first time.
Yeah.
So why put him back in a position that you need to trust him when you know he went completely off script the first time out?
Mhm.
everyone was so well, first of all, this event is so one-dimensional, but everyone is
Very,
so everyone in the comic, when you're reading your story, it just accepts the fact that the dome is up there. They're like, it's up there. Life is
Gotta go
whatever
down.
right now.
Right.
You know, they don't keep trying to get out or whatever it is. They've just accepted it. You know, it's so weird.
Yeah.
But real quick, I know Jay said this in the past on Frontline, but I mean, I kind of would have loved the idea for what the New 52 should have been, was just an alternate universe for DC Comics. Just
Yeah.
keep everything, all your continuity the same, what you had before. Make
Yeah.
the New 52 an ultimate universe like in
Make-
Marvel,
Yeah.
and I think that would have been more successful.
And you
I
could have still had
totally
52
agree.
issues of it. You could have split it right down the middle.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's what I said. You got 50. We established at the end of the weekly 52 series that there were 52 planet Earths out there.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
The New 52 could have been one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And we could have had plenty of stories there. Yay for that.
And the thing is, like you mentioned, Grant Morrison's Multiversity, it pretty much established that is the case.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Why can't we have some stories there, some stories on the main we've been looking at forever DC universe, and then some other stories over here on Earth 2.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, why does it have to be all or nothing?
Yeah.
That's what I really don't get. Why did you have to completely sweep the entire history away for the New 52?
That's also where they blurred the lines too, because they didn't with specifically, as we talked about before, Green Lantern and Batman.
Well, yeah, Green Lantern and Batman pretty much stayed the same.
Exactly the same, except for the only thing that they changed that I'm aware of
Superman.
is
But
no,
obviously,
I'm talking about in Batman and Green Lantern. The only thing that they changed was the fact that Tim Drake was never called Robin. He was always Red Robin. That's the only difference. So
Which
I don't know.
Is, that was one part of that I really hated. I mean, dumb. First off, Red Robin, a really crappy sandwich place. Why? Why did you need to take him out of that continuity? I mean, he could have gone from Robin to being Red Robin.
Right.
There was no reason for him never to have been Robin.
Right. All right. So yeah, I think we've pretty much covered how we're feeling about Convergence at this point.
I will just say this. One last thing I will say.
Sure.
The one thing Convergence did is exactly what I said at the beginning when I first showed up here. It got me to want to go back and read the old DC stuff instead of wasting my time on a lot of the new stuff. And to be honest, the money I'm spending on the old comics doesn't even go to DC because the money they made on those old comics already went to somebody else. So the money I'm paying for them doesn't even go into DC's pockets. It goes into fans' pockets who have given up completely on DC and just want to get rid of all of their books to begin with. So good job, DC. You made good money. Or you made somebody else, I should say, good money, because I'm just going to be going back and focusing on the 90s and 80s DC for a while because Convergence convinced me that I missed the old DCU. So I'm going to go back and read the stuff that I didn't have a chance to read first time around.
While I have it on you, Chris, any more comments before we start wrapping up?
Nothing really new. I mentioned mostly on Frontline. I have two.
From the comments.
Oh, Convergence? Oh, comments.
No, from the comments.
I got it. I got what you're saying. Yes. Good.
Listen to the peoples.
I'm listening. Tevye said that Flash Rebirth is when Jay lost his powers.
Yeah, I remember that.
Question: Why are we getting Earth 2 characters as the main characters? We answered that question, Tevye.
Mm-hmm.
And what is your guys? Oh, we did that one. And then, what's your guys' opinion of Batgirl Convergence? Because I'm so happy to see those characters alive and kicking, and I really don't want them to die, in my opinion.
I think we talked about them too. I'm glad
Tevye's questions are all what we answered.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to see those characters back, but I don't think they're being handled correctly.
I don't think so.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So.
And that's it.
Okay. All right, so we will wrap up with what we usually do is go around the table and see what everybody has coming out, and going on. Mike, start with you.
Let's see. So new comic week for me. A little late on starting to read some stuff, but if you guys want to check out my channel, the latest thing I have on there was last week's countdown video. I did a Spidey Classics episode number 12. That's on there as well. You guys can check that out. You can probably maybe look for a couple of reviews. I want to say on Sunday on my channel, Comic Book Corner 2.0, and then on Comic Frontline, you can look for a couple of reviews. I think I'm reviewing not Justice League. Well, maybe it is Justice League.
No, I've got Justice League.
Oh, okay, you got it. I think then it's Green Lantern Corps. I think I have that one. And then you can also stay tuned for us this coming Tuesday for Frontline Live show. And as we'll continue to talk about more Convergence and a lot more comic book news and things of that nature. So I think that's about it for right now.
Okay. What about you, Chris?
Right now, I've got my two reviews. One being Justice League, the other one being Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes. God save me. Other than that, indie review should be up hopefully by Sunday. The big two review by Monday. If not, move them over a day. One on Monday, one on Tuesday. It depends on time. Other than that, I will be working on a classic review as soon as Convergence is over and we get through a lot of Secret Wars from Marvel. I want to get a lot of the big events out of the way before I go back and do any reviews for any kind of classic comics. I might do one. I might start one right after Convergence just to start, but I'm not going to get too many classic reviews up till after we move away from all the dust that's going to be kicked up from Secret Wars and Divergence and everything else. Outside of that, I'm still writing my first issue. Almost done. I actually got a lot done last night. So, and Brent and I should have Hall of Toys on Sunday, but just in case, it's either Sunday or Wednesday. Depends on when we get together.
Yeah. All right. What about you, John?
Oh goodness, what am I doing? Well, of course, now that we can actually talk about it, the last Ember stuff. The pneumatic cases, pages are coming in nice and quickly, so that's a good thing. And all the Termageddon pages are sort of in. I've seen all the roughs anyway.
There is a revised page. I haven't shown you that.
Oh, well, there you go. There is a page.
I've been seeing it's gorgeous. It's
well, yeah, I'm really happy with the art on both those. I'm really excited about those. So. Those are coming in, and then let's see, what else did I do? I forgot. Pneumatic
You did that
cases.
review.
Oh yeah. Oh well, that. But no, I was thinking last Ember stuff. There was something else I did. Pneumatic cases. Oh, Eek Little Monsters. Yeah. I've only seen one page of Eek, so I'm nervous about that. I would like to see some more Eek come in, but all that stuff is happening, so all those books will hopefully be out sometime within the confines of this year, and people will see them and love them, and we will become famous and rich. Beyond that, well, you know, never know. Beyond that, let's see. My friends Comfort Adam just did a how-to book on self-publishing comics called The Complete Guide to Self-Publishing Comics. Where is the book? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Complete Guide to Self-Publishing Comics. Really good book. If you are any aspirations to self-publish comics, go check out my review. They really liked it. They're doing pre-sales right now, so go get it cheap if you want, but pay full price because it's worth it. Let's see. Beyond that, of course, comic-related stuff every day, every week, always, always, always. And just as of today, a former student came to me and asked me to illustrate her children's book. Nice. So I'll be doing that. And it's a book with fairies and unicorns and dragons and, you know, that sort of thing. So it'll be pretty kind of in my wheelhouse. So I'll do that. As far as my old children's books, still waiting to hear about Blue. And I think it's really going to get to the point where I'm going to have to illustrate A Murder of Crows myself, which I'll do after I illustrate this other children's book. Potentially be published by Last Ember Press. Otherwise, who knows? Gosh, other than that, I think that's it.
All right. All right, for me, just to expound on Last Ember Press, we do have a blog post up on the website now talking about how we're going to be at Derby City Comic Con in June 20th and 21st. Yeah, so come check us out. Lisa, John, myself, and Lisa's sister will all be there. Try to get Chris to come, but schedule's conflicted, so. Yeah. Excuse me.
Can I do one more thing before we
sure.
get too far? Speaking of Derby City Comic Con, there will be 2 different art shows going on during Derby City Comic Con. One will be for children and talented amateurs. So, if you were within the sound of my digital voice and you are coming to Derby City Comic Con, you can feel completely free to get into that art contest. All the information for it is on the Derby City Comic Con website. So go check that out. Prizes will be given for the first and second best. The other one is a shout out to all my professional artist friends. We're doing a major art show and auction, an old-fashioned gavel-beating, yelling out auction is going to be happening. And I not only need your artwork for donation, but I also need some of you to agree to draw live at the show. So once again, all the information is on Derby City Comic Con. All the proceeds for that go to a charity called This Star Won't Go Out. It's a charity that helps families of people who have been affected by cancer. So go check that out. There's a link also in the on the Derby City page. So go check all that out. That's it. Go back to you, Brant.
Okay. Awesome. All right. And all four of us did intro videos. They are up on our YouTube channel and on the website now, and our Facebook page. You can check them out. Learn a little bit more about each.
I'm working on my written thing for the video to go with the video.
Yeah, I haven't done that either. But.
Okay. And like John said, pages coming in left and right. We're working on banners stuff. I did want to show a piece of art real quick for those that are watching on video. This is from John's Pneumatic Cases. Really nice artwork there.
It's one of the covers.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, so we're really excited about all the stuff going on with Last Timber Press. My story, Last Timber, is in production as well. Lisa's Fairy Stories is wrapping up. And just a note on one of these, because I know I've gotten a couple of questions recently. I think I'm targeting August for a Kickstarter for that, just to get away from the San Diego Comic-Con craze, but I still want to beat the holiday rush and all that stuff. So August is the tentative date for that Kickstarter to launch, so be on the lookout for that. And that's probably it for me, besides the normal stuff, comic-related. I did my reviews for Convergence, Convergence number 3 and Convergence Flash number 1. They're both up on Comic Frontline now, so you can check those out. And yeah, I guess that's about it. So with that, we'll just do our little closing here, and I guess I'll read it out this time. We'd like to thank the official bands of Zone 4, the Raywall Band, and Society's Plug that you hear on the show each and every episode. We are also proud members of the Comic Related Podcast Network. You can find us on comicrelated.com, Comic Frontline, Comics Podcasts, Stitcher, iTunes, and of course Zone4podcast.com. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for us, if you'd like to send us money, we'll never turn that down. Just ask for my PayPal. No, I'm joking.
Old comics. I'll take old comics to review, especially from DC.
Yeah, but you can send those to Zone4 at comicrelated.com. Oh, hit points next week, by the way. As always, thanks for listening. You are now leaving Zone 4. Bye, everybody.
We didn't forget anything, we swear.
We always do. Bye, guys.
Yeah.